Namaskar. I welcome you all to this live talk on Kratu, a novel. First, Pranam Mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Ved Vishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. I welcome you all on this auspicious day of Swami Vivekananda's birthday. Today is 12th January. According to English calendar, this is the birthday of Swamiji. I am very happy, elated, and satisfied. Satisfied would be the right word. That on this day, Pan Macmillan has released my eighth book, Kratu. So I'll just show you Kratu. Oh, here it comes in reverse form. I don't know how to turn it, but because of this camera, I don't know how to do it. Anyway, this is the book, and it's already available. And I was requested by Penny to give a very short talk describing what is my writing about and what is this book about, etc. So I just collected a few points to place before you, and it's a live talk, so you can put your questions here. I'll take them. I'll try to complete whatever I have to say, maybe in 15-20 minutes, and then we will have an open discussion. Swami Vivekananda went to the West in 1893, and he started preaching Vedanta to the American people. From there, he went to England. And during that period, when he was delivering lots of talks and writing lots of letters to his disciples in India and to his brother disciples, one thing he emphasized repeatedly that he wanted the core Hindu philosophy, Vedanta, to reach everyone in India. I wanted that books should be written for kids, for all age groups, where the highest philosophy of Vedanta would be palatable to everyone. Now I feel blessed, truly blessed that I've been putting in some effort to actualize the ideas that Swamiji had left for us to work out. When my first book, Tia, Parrot's Journey Home, came out, one of my brother monks, he loves me, he had read Tia and he was impressed by it. And he told that he has been a very good student of Vedanta. He said that when he read Swamiji's words about writing books for kids on Vedanta, he had thought, is it ever possible? But then when he read Tia, he said, let's see. First time I realized that yes, Vedanta can be presented to any kind of audience, provided the language is right. So, well, we all have some kind of duties to perform towards the society. And this is the kind of duty I have taken up. I am trying to perform my duty. So there is no sense of achievement, there is no sense of fulfillment. It's just that I've been doing my duty. But as far as my own feelings are concerned, true inmost feelings, just now there is this question by Subhadip Patro, why did you write this book? It's a nice question. It's not about this book, it's about my own efforts in writing. If you study any author, you may say that the author has written maybe 70, 80, 90 books like P.G. Wodehouse and Agatha Christie, and there is one Spanish lady who has written 5,000 novels. You will see that ultimately everyone has just one idea to express. So, for example, if you are reading P.G. Wodehouse, you will see that just one main idea And there are certain sub ideas revolving around that. And all his works revolve around that only. As for me, there is one single idea. I'm like a baby, a kid who looks at the world of ideas in amazement. If you might have noted 3, 4 year old kids, how they like to explore the world. They look at the world with wonder, with amazement, and they try to feel this and try to feel that and try to express in their own limited vocabulary. I'm exactly like that. I'm Suddenly this world of ideas is before me. I have dedicated myself to this world of ideas. I'm into this. And those ideas sometimes they come before me. Sometimes I go kind of chasing them. Sometimes those ideas are face to face with me. Sometimes they're trying to hide away from me. And I get a feel of those ideas. And those feelings are quite intimate. And then I try to express them in the limited vocabulary that I have. Because if you go deep in Vedanta, you will see that according to Vedanta, ideas, words, and objects, they are one and the same thing. Even then, not every idea can be expressed perfectly in words. It's not possible. Because ultimately, when you catch hold of some idea, when you become one with that idea, vocabulary may be limited. And that's why great authors, those who are really great authors, they create words. Rabindranath Tagore had famously said that he had contributed hundreds and hundreds of words um, in Bengali language. So, see, every person has a language of his own. For example, those who are mathematicians, you'll find that they belong to a particular branch of mathematics and they try to express themselves in that particular branch of mathematics. Same with physicists, same with chemists. And there are painters and there are artists and there are singers. Each one of them has a language of his own. I have tried to put this idea in Kratu. Each one of us, you, me, everyone, has a language. And we may not be aware of our own language. If we put it philosophically, we can say that life is a long search of finding our correct language. So, this exploring this world of idea, the way a kid explores this physical universe and trying to express them in the limited vocabulary that I have. Actually, I'm not very good at English. After all, it's second language for me. So, in the limited vocabulary, um, here you can see on the chat there is our my good friend K. Gopal Krishna. I'll mention him later again. He has written a wonderful foreword for this book. And I told him, brother, your foreword is better than my main work. So when you combine all these things, the Swami Vivekananda, he wanted Vedantic ideas to be presented in story form. And me trying to explore the world of ideas. And after exploring, trying to express those ideas in words or in limited vocabulary, as I'm repeatedly saying. If you combine all these, you will know what my book is about. So, I'm not a professional writer. That means, see, essentially, my first duty and foremost one is that I'm a monk. My entire life, all my activities revolve around this fundamental fact that I'm a monk. Then my organization, that is Ramakrishna Mission, has given me some assignment. And The most important of that is teaching. I teach scriptures. So all my effort, all my time goes to these two things: being a monk, being a teacher. So it was some 10, 12 years ago, in 2005, 2006, when I first started jotting down certain words. And that came to be known as Tia, a parrot's journey home. The idea of Tia had first come to me sometime in maybe 97, 98, or a little later. And there also, I was just being curious about how somebody who is coming from some other world would feel our own world. And from there, slowly, as I proceeded, ideas from that idea world took possession of me and went on expressing themselves through various characters and various narration. So I was extremely surprised when Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who had retired as the president of India in those days, he chanced to read that book, and he was surprised and tried to find out who I am. And then he somehow got my phone number and called me up. And if you look at my Facebook pages, there is that page on Tia, and there I have put his letter. And there are any number of websites on which Dr. Kalam said that Tia is one of the 5 best books that he has read in life. Now that was a great honor, not for me, but for the book, and more for the idea world, because that shows that if you have no desire, because believe me, dear listeners, I never expected that this book would find a good publisher. Sri Upamanyu Chatterjee, who was an IS officer, he just retired, and he himself is a famous English writer. So he happens to be my college mate, and we were in the same year, although we did not know each other in those days. So later we bumped against each. I knew about him, but he did not know about me. So when he read that manuscript, he was impressed, and he approached this Penguin. So Penguin people, they were not impressed by the book for whatever reason. And then it was sent by one of my friends, Dibbajyoti Chatterjee, who has read practically every book in the manuscript form. He sent it to HarperCollins, and they were excited about it. And rest is history as far as TI is concerned. And from that time onward, I went deep and deeper into this idea world. Then came Param, same by HarperCollins. And then Jungle Jen Sheru. This was brought by Pan Macmillan. Now, my good friend, Mr. Ravi Chandranji, who used to be director of Indian Institute of Management, IIM Indore. He loved those books, and he had gifted that book to Tia, to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He has been using these 3 books for management trainees. And like any reviewer, like any teacher, he came up with some brilliant ideas about Tia and Param and Sheru. Said that Tia is about this kind of management. I don't even remember. Because when I was writing, I was just moving around, meandering, exploring, and looking with wonder at those ideas. And suddenly, uh, this there is a great teacher, Dr. Ravi Chandran. Formerly, he was a professor at IIM Ahmedabad, and then he was director at IIM Indore. So he keeps on conducting these seminars and webinars. And then there was a philosophical book, Carving a Sky. Say, I still consider it to be the most philosophical work that I have written. Then came 3 works on religion. First one was Living Hinduism. It's about Hindu religion. And I expected every Hindu to read this book because they will know what religion they belong. And then there was this World of Religions, which is a spiritual study, a study on the spiritual aspects of 8 major religions of the world. And then came the Hindu Way. Now, I am not just trying to list a book. There's a interesting story coming up. The Hindu Way is a very small book, and I personally believe that this book should be a handbook for every Hindu. Every Hindu should have this book. And those who do not belong to Hindu religion, they also should read that small book just to know what Hinduism is about. I was sure that I'll never get a publisher for it. It was such a small book. Now, the CEO of Pan Macmillan, Sri Rajdeep Mukherjee ji, and in those days we had this Sri Prasoon Chatterjee, who was the editor. I I requested Rajdeep Mukherjee that, see, if you agree to publish this book, I'll give my next book, that is Kratu, which I am working upon, to you. So he laughed. Naturally, he will not go for such barters. But they were impressed. The team was impressed and they published The Hindu Way. It's available. All these books are available online. Now I was kind of duty bound to complete that book, Kratu, and I was also bound to give the manuscript to Macmillan because Harper would have loved to take. That's my expectation. Now, those of you who might have read Kratu, because some people got the advanced copies, and those of you who will read, you'll see that it's a huge work. Its structure is huge. My good friend Gopalji, just now I mentioned, he had very beautifully summed up in his foreword: immense in scale, encompassing the three kal of past, present, and future. His foreword is beautiful. If you chance to read that book, make sure to read his foreword. So I was sure that I will not be able to keep my words. And then came Corona. And because of Corona, everything stopped. And all my activities had stopped. So I was working on this Kratu since 2010 when I was working on TIA. From that time, practically different ideas were coming. I was jotting down, and some of those ideas I had expanded. Ultimately, I took just 2 months to write that book. First 2 months. That means there was this national lockdown sometime in March or April. I took 2 months. By May end, I had kind of completed this work. And my friends were extremely surprised that this book, which is in 340, I think, 324 pages, it's a huge work. And complex characters and this huge narration, I could complete just in 2 months. I was working 10 to 12 hours a day during that period. Now, coming to what is Kratu about, I have a 4-year-old friend, Shivangs. His parents are my very good friends, Dev and Shivangi. Now, Shivangs is a very good friend of mine. He comes once in a while to meet me, and he loves to go through my books, and he has gone through all my books, and he lives through those books, and he constructs his own story. For example, Jungle Jin Sheru. He constructed his own story. Now, when he got Kratu, he went through that entire book, turning pages after pages, and you don't find any picture or any sketch. He was slightly disappointed. So when his mom asked, "So who wrote this book?" He said, "Maharaj, that is Swamiji." How did you find this book? He says in English, "It is complicated." That has become such a favorite expression of mine that I use this term, it is complicated everywhere. A 4-year-old kid, he judged this book, Kratu, as it is complicated. Actually, the book is about someone who was cursed in Vedic times, ancient era, because he had transgressed certain limits, certain norms of the then society. And in the story, it has been given as he created music out of the Samved songs. And so he was cursed by his guru to have his memory intact. And that's a deadly curse for anyone. Now, this young man, now he gets born repeatedly in different spheres, and from there his memory continues, and now he is born in present times. And his family is an extremely doting family, and Kratu remembers everything from the time that he was cursed. During that time, he also had a friend, Ashwin. He's also in search of his friend so that he can have him released from the kind of situation that he might be in this birth. And then the story moves past to present, and somebody is there coming from future, and they all meet. And there are different kinds of characters, and there are historical characters who appear as fiction, and there are fictional characters who appear as human beings. And there are 8 or 10 theories of creation that partly they are there in our scriptures, and partly I constructed them just for the story. We have one student, Jumka Majumdar. She attends our classes, and she has been attending. Just before I was coming for this talk, she sent me a message. She had just completed reading this book. If anybody inquires why one should read Kratu, I'm just reading out. It's a beautiful passage. I would say that it is penned by a monk as well as an acharya, a rare combination. And the gestation period is nearly 10 years. It may sound what at first impression, 10 years. But after attending his class personally for half the decade, his flair for knowledge where secular and sacred intertwines in such a way that there is no scope for leaving a gap. When one starts to read Kratu, its identity is it is a book. And when it's end, it is a scripture, she writes. We all are alter ego of Kratu, bonded and bounded by dates. Different kinds of dates. You'll find it in the story. To remind of this, our sages conceptualized the philosophy of 5 great sacrifices known as Panch Mahayagya. I keep talking about this as mandatory rituals. Yes, bumps run over the entire body, thinking that it is all for us. Story. I am paraphrasing Kratu in a slightly different way. If it was published centuries ago, or today, or in coming century, other than technological details, essence would have remained relevant, not for a particular period or person. An unfathomable vacuum surrounds us. To surmount that, in the midst of mist, Kratu comes as a solace to soul, as a flower of light. But instead of dazzling, it makes us able to see clearly through the prism of life. Charaiveti, Charaiveti. Go on, go on. So that this was such a beautiful presentation. So I thought that instead of telling in my words, it would be nice if I just read out what a reader felt about it. In brief, it's about ideas and expressions related to existence, encompassing as much as possible. So you will find Vyas there, Valmiki there, and Manu is there. All these persons are there. So before I end, because I've crossed my 20 minutes, I'd like to thank my very good friend Sri Ajay Nayak ji. He just retired from Indian Administrative Service, IS. So there was a time when I was at Chapra, and he was the divisional commissioner there, senior IS officer. So he was one person who kept on goading me to write. And he said, Swami, if you don't write, lots of things will be lost forever. More than that, when I was writing this work, the moment I wrote a chapter, I immediately mailed him and expected his response within a day or two. And I was discussing with him on an average an hour every alternate day. And I am not a person who can sit and contemplate on these ideas. I keep on wading through this idea world. And this wading is through conversation and through discussions. And so I'm really grateful, because without him, it would have been very difficult for me to complete this work. And then we have 3 very good friends, Divya Jyoti, whose name I mentioned earlier, and there is Raj Shekhar, and there is Dr. Hema. She's from Indore, very good friend of mine. And then Arpan and Piali. And then there was Priyanka Bhattacharya. She is Priyanka Bhattacharya. And Shivangi and Dev, parents of Shivang. Now, whenever I was writing a chapter, I used to send these people. They were in the first lot. They were kind of my sounding board. And they have proved to be my really great friends in many, many ways. But when it comes to Kratu, they were like midwives. They helped me come out with this baby Kratu. So, well, as an author, I feel happy. I fulfill that Kratu as a baby has been delivered with the help of all these persons. There is Sri Gopal Krishna ji who wrote wonderful foreword. He also went through the manuscript and he was overwhelmed that you will find in the foreword. And Ajay Naik ji, Dr. Hema, Rashekar, Dibbajyoti, and Arpan Priyali, Priyanka Bhattacharya, and Shivangi, and her husband Dev, and Prasoon Chatterjee and Sri Rajdeep Mukherjee. They have been of great help. Without them, this book would have never come out. Uh, I have mentioned this in the acknowledgement list, but I felt that since we are having this, I should mention their names because they were the real midwives. To sum up, I'll say that, well, it was a divine will because I know my capabilities, and my friends say humility is not my virtue, and definitely not the best virtue. But I tell you, knowing my capabilities, my shortcomings, I know it is beyond me to write a book of this magnitude and this magnificence. I just bow down before the divine, before Sri Ramakrishna, before Holy Mother Sri Sarda Devi, and before Srimad Swami Vivekananda, whose birthday is today, in all humility, that the divine chose me to be an instrument to come out with a book like this. So, with this, I end my talk, and let me just have a quick look at the comments that might be there, and any question, any discussion. We have some time. We can continue definitely up to 7. I'll just see if we can have some discussion on this. Why did you write this book, Shubhadeep? And I mentioned that I don't write books. There's ideas who take possession of me and they want to be expressed through me. It's no the famous expression in the past that he has been possessed by a ghost. So I'm just like that. I'm possessed by certain ideas, and those ideas say that we need expression. Yeah, I pick up pen and then I express them. Interestingly, as far as a person I'm concerned, nothing interests me in this world other than exploring this idea world. Sometimes I explore on my own, and sometimes those ideas, knowing that here is a person who can be taken for a ride, those ideas take me for a ride. Well, this is how it comes up. You will not find much or even any of literary merit in my work because I'm not a writer. As far as skill in writing is concerned, the best you can say about me is I'm an accidental writer. But when it comes to exploring the world of ideas, no, I am not an accidental person. I have worked for it and I love doing that. I'm a permanent and a lifelong student of that idea world. So, well, it's that. Uh, Gopalji has said, thank you for this gift. Oh, yes. Priyam Das, do you plan to release an online version of the book so that people who live abroad? Oh, yes, Priyam, definitely. But that's not my job. Believe me, I don't take any royalty for all these books. I believe that this is the work of divine. I have never touched a single paisa, single pi of their money as royalty. Not for me, not for Ramakrishna Mission, not for anyone. Because I believe that it's the divine, it wants to express through me, so I can't accept money. So as far as publication, distribution, marketing, everything is concerned, it is their job. But they do release online versions. I'm sure they will release. You can write to Macmillan, they will answer. I don't know. And you won't believe, I never read my own books. Starting from TR down to Kratu, I've never read a single book of mine as an accomplishment or completion. No, never. It was kind of a job. I'm just like a courier boy, messenger boy who got some ideas and and took it to some place. There it ends. When will we get Bengali version, Pradeep Dattaji? I don't think so that this book can be easily translated into Bengali. I have serious doubts. And if somebody translates it, it will be difficult to get a publisher. And if we get a publisher, we won't find buyers. This book, The Hindu Way, I wish that every Hindu read that book. And it came out in Bengali, Hindu Jivan Darshan. Not even 200 copies have sold. Rajdeep Dhari says, Pranam Maharaji, does Kratu have anything to do with seven? So I've just picked up Kratu and I've given an explanation there. Kratu is in many differences. Kratu was a sage. Kratu actually means noble deeds, noble acts. And later on, this term was used to mean sacred act of pouring oblations in the fire of yajna. Kratu has many meanings. If you just search on internet, you'll find more than hundreds of meanings of Kratu. So all those meanings are together in this book. Gopalji. Yes, it was on a cycle of Punarjanma. Thank you, Gopalji, for answering some of these questions. Tarak goes, poor English, your utterance proves a famous Vidya. No, Tarakji, as I said, humility is not my virtue. So no problem. My English is extreme. My knowledge of English is extremely restricted. So I'm just... So Amit Chatty says, you have started your journey from tea after Sheru, a genre changed to carving a sky, then it changed to essay type. Again, why? So Amit Chatty is asking why different. See, as I told you, it's all about ideas. The ideas take position of me, and like a possessed person, I go on writing. Secondly, see, being an Indian, being a Hindu, and being a monk of the Ramakrishna mission, I have certain debts to repay to India, to Hindu religion, and to my mother organization, the Ramakrishna Mission. That is Sri Ramakrishna Swamiji. And essentially, there is no difference between Tia and Living Hinduism book. There is no difference between, say, World of Religions and Kratu. They are all expressions of the divine. There are different facets of the divine, and different facets of divine. That is what you find in the idea world. And you'll find description of the idea world in Kratu book also. So, well, it's same. For me, there is no difference between Living Hinduism book and, say, Jungle Jan Sheru book. No, there is no. Amitabh Tripathi is my old classmate. He's professor at IIT Delhi in mathematics. We were together in college. I wish it was that easy to write for me. Brother, it may not be easy for you to write because, see, you have responsibilities. You are moving in the world of mathematics. I am completely free of all such baggage. Being a monk, I don't have any baggage. And here also I'm completely free. So, well, I can go on running around and playing and exploring things. So, well, it's that. Then Macmillan India will be releasing an ebook soon. Oh, Rajdeep Mukherjee. Rajdeep Mukherjee is here. He is the CEO of Pan Macmillan, as you mentioned. He says we'll be releasing an ebook soon. So that's a good news for all of you. When can I find Malay Raj Haldar? Where can I find the book? On Amazon, etc. And you can write to Rajdeep Mukherjee ji. Singh Surya. What is this book about? We mentioned. Gopalji says, how has experience of delivering Kratu altered you? No, nothing. Believe me, I am, as they say, if you go to any railway station, say New Delhi station, and there are coolies, porters who carry weight, And whether they are carrying this load of books or iron or gold, it's all same to me. Same to them. When I had written Tia, by chance I had been to Delhi, and Harper Collins had invited me, and there the publisher, that is chief editor, asked me, "So Swamiji, how do you feel being an author?" I said nothing, because I know that it's beyond me to write a book like Tia. It's a divine's will. I am just a messenger boy, so I feel nothing. It's just a work finished. I am glad about it. I'm relieved. This whole thing is out of me. Somebody, you are traveling, you are going somewhere, and somebody asks you to carry a package and deliver to some person who will be standing there on the railway station. Once you get rid of it, you feel relieved. I feel relieved, nothing more than that. Why? And as I said, I have no tags, I have no baggages attached with this book. Ravindra Mohanji, he also happens to be my classmate from my school days. Of course, he's a very famous doctor. Congratulations, thank you so much. Vikas Singh, he is from the same school where I was, and he happens to be a very good friend. He's a very famous lawyer, corporate lawyer. You are on a divine. Do you feel that your rich heritage of output has any sequence as far as carrying Swamiji's messages? You mentioned chat a while ago. Well, I am not sure if is of any sequence or any consequence. As I'm repeatedly telling, and see, I am not being humble about it. It's just a fact that the ideas come, and I feel that they need expression. And I firmly believe that there will be some publisher to publish. But if it is divine will, see, just to say, just to experience, just to share a personal experience, when Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam called me up, I was really surprised. It was an overwhelming experience for me. I was a great admirer of Dr. Kalam since his DRDO days. So he talked to me for 5, 7 minutes, and he said that, Swamiji, only a beautiful mind can write such a beautiful book about me. And I somehow mumbled, definitely, sir, divine has a beautiful mind. I'm not a creator. I can't, I know my limitations. I know my grade. I cannot create a book like Tia. It's just not possible. So, well, that is what I said. Now, whether sequence, consequence, so how long I'm going to work for God? It's his headache. He will find some better instrument. No, I have no responsibility as such. But I am here, I am eating the grains, ann of India. I have been nurtured in the Hindu culture. It is my responsibility to repay as much as I can. So I'm just repaying. Ravindra Mohanji will get copy Pranama if this is not humility. No, no, Gopalji, humility is not my virtue. Ask any monk of the Ramakrishna Mission, first thing they will tell about me, the fellow about me, and that he doesn't have any humility. No, I don't have. Saurabh Chatterjee, what inspired you, Maharaj, to write Kratu? Well, he's being a little more specific. Actually, I was again thinking about that. Supposing there is someone who is living through the ages with an intact memory. Actually, this also has its genesis in Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda once said that if I could get a pill that would erase my memory, I will take that so that I can forget all that I have learned. Now, that was a very interesting observation by Swamiji, and it had always made me curious that how it is different if a person has no memory and a person has eternal memory. And so this thing was kind of going on in my mind since maybe 87, 88. That's a long time. But at that time, I did not have even the whiff of idea that I can ever be a writer. And my friends, monastic friends, had very clearly said that you can be anything but not a writer, not an author. And I had accepted that fact because my expressions are extremely cramped. Those of you who have read my book would know that. So then all these things combined together, that how a person will look at things. Kratu, in short, our Gopal Krishnaji has also mentioned that it is about Bharat Varsh, the living India, the living, thriving India. It's breathing. It's kind of story of India. It's a story of India. You find entire Indian culture, spirituality, religion. There is dance, there is music, there is art, there is sculpture. So everything, there is politics, everything is there in this book. And there are killings, there are murders, and there are love affairs, and there are betrayals. Lots of everything is there. Incidentally, Srimad Swami Suhitanandaji Maharaj, who has been my teacher and mentor, and he read the manuscript and he was overwhelmed. He said, "What a massive work!" And he was eagerly waiting for the manuscript. And he said that it's unthinkable, unthinkable. And he said certain other words of praise which I don't like to mention. I won't like to mention here. But anyway, so presently he has been going through the published version. So as Gopalji said, immense in scale and encompassing the three kala of past, present, and future. So, well, that's what inspired me. It's Abhi Banerjee asked, what is the core idea that has been depicted in Kratu? Now, dear Abhi Banerjee, if I ask you, can you tell me what's the core idea in Mahabharata? You cannot. Everything cannot have a core idea. Because, as I said, it's about existence. If you say that existence has been discussed, well, that's the core idea. But the manifestation of existence, this is massive. So if you want in two words, it's manifestation of existence. Existence runs at different layers. Here, existence is in its manifested magnificence. Arpan says, Swamiji, oh, have you ever observed manifestation of Karu Krakdeva partly within someone you know? Of course, each one of us, as Jhumka wrote, that alter ego. Each one of us is Kratu only. Just that we don't remember. Each one of us is Kratu. Because we Hindus, we in India, we believe in rebirth. And during the gestation, it's a firm belief that mind goes through such trauma that memory is wiped away. So you come out with a clean slate, and just certain impressions remain that make your personality. So each one of us is Kratu only. Everyone, each one of us is Kratu. And the story of Kratu is not the story of Kratu. It is your story, it is my story, it's his story. I don't know how some people got their copy. I too pre-ordered. No, Varunika. Varunika is from Sri Lanka, and she is a practicing Buddhist, but deeply interested in Hindu religion also. She has met me. Some people got their nobody got their copy. I got the copies, being the author, and I requested Macmillan to send copies to some of my friends. Only they have got. Not everybody has got. Shubhadeep Patra, how did you enhance your vocabulary? I always have a dictionary to read your books. No, you see, it's about, imagine a cow. Unless the cow eats grass, how can it give milk? So I have read books. Today during lunch, I was discussing with one of my junior monks. He is a PhD in physics, fundamental physics from America. He's a new one here, and he loves me. He listens to my talks, and I was narrating that as a young monk, that is, we call it brahmachari in white dress, I was in Devghar for 5 years, and during vacation, particularly in summer vacation, there was nothing to do, and we didn't even have fans, and we couldn't sleep properly. And during that period, I used to complete at least 3 books per day. 3 books per day. That was my average reading speed. And when I was very busy, I was principal of that same school, Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, Devghar. During even that period, when I was principal through such thing, I was reading 1 book a day. That has been my normal speed of reading, one on an average. Last 5-7 years now, I have stopped reading books. Now I'm no more interested. So, well, unless you read, how can you have vocabulary? And then, as I said, sometimes I create words to suit certain ideas. So Vinay Subhiki ji, he was senior to me in my school. He has been longing to read my books. Yes. So any more questions? Because I find that the chat is now drying up. Hari Namaiv Kevalam Arkodas. I don't know where from Hari Nam Kevalam has come. This is a problem with these Indian people. They always go on moving from this direction to that. Yes, Gopalji says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. Tanyahang Veda Sarvani Nattom Veta Parantapa. During Gita, Sri Krishna and Arjuna, Sri Krishna was preaching Arjuna, and there famously Sri Krishna tells, you, me, we had many births. You don't remember them. I remember. I'm God. Kratu is not God. Kratu is just a human being. He's just like Arjun, trapped in a situation. Actually, in Kratu, you'll find lots of characters who are terribly trapped in different situations. And I wanted to make such mockery of death. So basically, there is a mockery of death throughout the book. So much so that there is a scene, the last chapter, there is a suicide point where accidentally many people have gone unknown to each other to commit suicide. I just made a mockery of it. Because death is to be laughed at. There's nothing to be serious about as far as death is concerned. And suicide is the most stupid idea that one can have. Because if you die, you will be born again. You will have new experiences. Your memory will be gone, but you will have to go through the same drudgery. Why continue with that? So, well, Kratu is a very interesting book in many, many ways. Those who have read, I tell you, and there was Mr. Ajay Naik, who was a former IAS officer, and there's, I did not say about Gopalji. He's a technocrat with the biggest multinational company as far as computers are concerned. He has asked me not to take the name, but he is an extremely scholarly person and so thoroughly well versed in his scriptures that I wrote in one of his coffee table book was coming out. I said, phenomenal. And this is what Swami Vivekananda wanted, that you have the technical knowledge, you also have the scriptural knowledge. So Gopalji liked so much that I used his letter as forward. Yes, Subhadeep Patraji, our situation is same as Kratu. We are lucky that we don't have that memory finished. Because do you think you could give one more word for Hindu that could be separated from the upabhrans connotation? If that word could be accepted as the mission statement? No, I did not understand your question. One more word for Hindu? Oh, we are Hindus. We are proud to be Hindus. Swamiji's picture when in America was the Hindu monk of India. Nothing. Be proud about being a Hindu. Talking about new terms, people have come up with Sanatani and all the what rot. Yes, we are Sanatani because Hindu religion is the eternal religion, because it is not dependent on the words of any single person, whosoever that person be. But we are known as Hindus and we are Hindus, finished. So I don't know why, because he is objecting to that, or maybe I could not understand his question. The first spark of book is this cover page art itself, sublime, serene. Now Rajdeep Dhar is talking about the cover. Now this cover was organized by Macmillan people. It's a beautiful cover. Interestingly, there were 3-4 suggestions. They were more or less similar. Swami Suhitanandaji Maharaj is vice president of the Ramakrishna Mission. He selected this particular cover, and then we went ahead with this. Yes, it's a very nice cover. Saurabh Chatterjee says, yes, you should read. It's a very interesting book. It's a philosophical work as much. So it's 50. Anybody who wants to write, I find many of my friends here. So Vikas Singh ji, if you would rephrase your question, I'll try to take it. But Hindu is a perfect word, nothing wrong with it. And Swami Vivekananda has repeatedly used the word Hindu, so nothing wrong with it. And there are people who say Vedantins and the Sanatani. I'm a Hindu, I'm a born Hindu, and if I have to write on any official document, I have to use Hindu, so nothing wrong with it. I don't know why people have embarrassment. Oh, we have 5. No, we have as many minutes you want, because it's just that I don't want to bore our viewers, because it has been 50 minutes. So no more questions are coming, no more chats. Let's end here. Thank you so much for listening so patiently, all of you. And I greet all of you on this auspicious day of Swami Vivekananda's birthday. Also, oh, Vika says music as pop, cricket as T20. Oh, so I don't know. I'll see if I ever come across. I'll tell you personally. Hindus as I don't know. Why do you sometimes lose interest book after reading? Lack of patience. Shubhati Patra says, why you lose patience? You lose patience because book cannot hold you. A book doesn't have material enough. If there is enough material, it will hold you. I'm just giving a hint that could be palatable to be younger generation. Uh, so again, Nirupam Das, I don't know what's his problem with other religions. In every talk he comes up with other religions. So I don't know. Nirupam Das, you don't know about your own religion. Why you're talking about who is attacking you and how they are attacking you? So thank you so much. Huh? Thank you so much. I end here.